Little Carla, Happy at Last, Part 1 is the third episode of the sixth season of Cheers. This is, of course, directed by the wonderful James Burrows, and as always, there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode chronologically and share some thoughts. It's a really strong episode. I won't keep going on about this. I mean, I probably will. But it's different watching this now compared to the first time I watched it, knowing what I know about Eddie LeBec. I don't want to say too much more than that, but the point there is that how I felt about this the first time might be different to how I feel about it now, but I'm still enjoying Eddie as a character at this point. I'm still allowing myself to like the character because actually I think he does come across as very likable. The episode starts off with Sam on the phone in the office, just like the good old days. But of course, it's Rebecca's office. Rebecca comes in and she tells Sam to get back to work. And Simone phones, obviously phoning Sam. Rebecca answers. She tells Simone, Sam is busy working. And Sam says that she just got him out of a roll in the hay. And Rebecca says, just meaning to kind of placate him and say, whatever, go back to work. She says, I owe you one. And, of course, Sam decides to have some fun with this, and Rebecca chases after him. It's a nice way to start the episode, even though Rebecca definitely comes off as quite cold in the beginning. I still think she's a very likeable character. Again, biased, I love Kirstie Alley, but I do think even this early stage she's quite fun. Or she allows a lot of fun to happen, at any rate, which is the opposite of what the character is trying to do, so I rather like that. We then have pretty much everybody in the bar throughout the episode. I feel like Frasier, Norm, Cliff, obviously Carla, Woody and Sam are working. I don't know if it's a coincidence or not, but I feel like in this season so far, all of the characters have been in the bar all at the same time on quite a few occasions. And it's almost like we're grieving Diane, so we're having solidarity in numbers instead. And I'm not complaining. I love it. Frasier sighs at Norm and Cliff, who are reading trash in the newspaper, but then they decide to pull the trick on Frasier and make him get excited about something, and he calls them rapscallions with a grin on his face, and it's an absolute delight. Carla is in a bad mood because Eddie's not said anything to her after she told him that she was pregnant with his child, and then Eddie comes in, and instantly it's like a switch has been flipped. Carla is very happy, and Eddie kind of proposes to Carla. I say kind of because Carla never let him finish what he was trying to ask her. She leaps on the table and she's very, very happy about this. And they do a toast and Eddie says, Carla, well, you know. And everybody else doing the toast says, well, you know, which I rather enjoyed. And Eddie then tells Carla she won't need to work anymore because no wife of his is working in a bar like Cheers or any bar, and Rebecca was in earshot at the time, which I rather liked as well. And Carla is obviously very happy about this. I can't imagine Cheers without Carla working there. It would be very, very strange, but this is the reality for Carla now. And Eddie says as long as they get married on a day with number 2, he'll be happy because he is, as we know, suspicious. Unfortunately, Carla needs to get married on a day with a number 3. Because she's suspicious, which basically means they can only get married on the 23rd of any month, and they want to get married very quickly, so that's what's going to happen. And Sam declares that he'll throw the biggest wedding reception ever at Cheers, and I like the fact that every now and then, it's happened in every single episode, I think, Sam will do something or say something that Sam, the owner of Cheers, would have done. And I like the fact that we haven't completely lost that side of him because honestly, even though I very much love Rebecca, I'm still not accepting the fact that Sam doesn't own Cheers. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It's very difficult to wrap my head around that reality, so I like the fact that it's made even more difficult to accept that with Sam himself forgetting that that's the case. And Sam manages to convince Rebecca to throw this reception because she can invite Evan Drake. And Evan Drake is a sports fan who can meet Eddie LeBec, and needless to say, that worked. We then cut to the reception. Rebecca is panicking about how everything looks, and Sam... I genuinely laughed out loud at Sam's response to Woody. Sam is making his good luck wedding punch. for the wedding. And Woody says, isn't that the same stuff you made when you were getting married to Miss Chambers? There was also, again, I don't know if this was intentional, but there's this briefest of pause between married to and Miss Chambers. And it was almost like Woody was wondering if it's a name he should mention. Should he even mention her name after all of the chaos that happened around their relationship? I don't know if it was intentional. I have a feeling it probably was, and I rather like that. But I also like the fact that she's been mentioned, again, I think in pretty much every episode of this season, which definitely helps to heal the Diane Chambers hole in my heart. And Sam's response to Woody's question is, Woody, you want to flush this down the toilet? Which basically sums up Sam's current response to his relationship with Diane, because it's obviously just torn him in every direction, and obviously the punch mustn't have that much luck to it either. Carla then comes in to get her final paycheck, and Eddie comes in. He sees the bride on the wedding day before the wedding, and they're both very superstitious, and they both scream. And Frasier's response was a delight as well. And initially, they're calling off the wedding, and then Eddie realizes he doesn't want to be superstitious anymore if it means he can't marry Carla. And he decides to break a mirror. He breaks Sam's mirror, unfortunately, to prove that there's not going to be any bad luck. And from that point, it snowballs, and it's just absolutely fantastic. Not fantastic for Carla, but it's one thing after another. Eddie does more things to prove that he's not superstitious. He starts blowing salt everywhere while Carla frantically tries to throw it over her shoulder. And then she gets a phone call from her doctor, and she finds out that she's having twins. And what's really interesting about this is, in any other sitcom, in any other TV show, if the character found out they were having twins, they would make a huge song and dance about it. They'd turn this into this big reveal. But here we just have, that's one more thing that's going wrong for Carla now, which I thought was kind of very typical of Carla's character. But Eddie, much to his credit, is delighted that she's having twins. It's double the joy, and it's really sweet. It seems like things are about to go in the right direction. Then Carla's son Anthony comes in with Annie. Turns out they want to live with them because they've got nowhere to live. And then Eddie says, it's okay, if we need a bigger house, I'll buy us all a bigger house. And Carla got excited about that. And it seems like they momentarily forgot that Carla did just buy her own house not that many episodes ago. So I don't know why she's getting too excited about buying a new house when she has just bought a new house. But I guess the thought of having an even bigger, better house is probably quite nice. And then Eddie's mother comes in. This is Mama LeBec, played by Janet Brandt. And she's speaking French. Carla doesn't understand what she's saying, but it's very clear that she's not happy with Carla. Initially, she thinks Rebecca is Carla. Rebecca's expression is brilliant. And then she storms off, and Frasier has to explain to Carla, at Carla's insistence, that she doesn't approve of the marriage. And Eddie comes back in and says the marriage is off, the wedding isn't happening. And then we have a to be continued, and we'll find out what happens next. It is dramatic. From the point of Eddie coming back into Cheers and seeing Carla on the wedding day, it just went from one thing to the next. The pacing was fantastic. As soon as we get to grips with one piece of information, the next one comes in, and it's absolutely brilliant. And I cannot even begin to imagine how stressed Carla is. I imagine most of it hasn't even sunk in at this point, but I found it to be a brilliantly executed episode. Some funny moments, but also very dramatic and very uncertain with what's around the corner. But I will say no more. We will talk about that, of course, when we get there in due course. But Little Carla, Happy at Last, Part 1 is a really solid episode. Really thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to rewatching the next part.